Good day, everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to write your thesis introduction. After hours of struggle and hard work, have you reached the important stage of your academic life where you need to write a thesis? Of course, the answer is yes. You are well aware of the fact that if you want to make a lasting impression of your work, you will have to start with a strong introduction chapter. Here is a complete guide for you to learn how to write an outstanding thesis introduction that will impress everyone. For many people, thesis introduction is the most frightening part to start with. It is true that writing introduction can be a challenging task. Before going any further, you need to acknowledge that the most important part of the thesis is its introduction. It decides the fate of your thesis and whether it will be a success or not. A good introduction will draw the reader's attention to the entire paper. Make sure that you make it captivating and compelling enough to impress your professors or readers. If you want to learn how to write a good thesis introduction, you cannot blindly start writing your thesis and get done with it. It requires a strategic plan. So before the part where you actually start writing, you need to remember a few things that are mentioned here. First is identify your goal. So what is your goal? You have to identify the goal of research introduction in order to convince the readers on the validity and necessity of the research study. That is your goal. There are different points that can help you in writing a good thesis introduction. First is identify your readership. Sino bang magbabasa niyan? Of course, your professors and your panel of experts. Also, the readers that are interested in your study. You should also consider readers of your thesis who are not specialists in your field. Writing with them in your mind will help you to be as clear as possible and more enjoyable overall. 2. Hook the reader and grab their attention. The first sentence of the paper is crucial. Looking back at your own research, how many papers have you skipped just because reading the first few sentences, they couldn't grab your attention? So, napaka-importante yung first sentences mo ay napaka-interesting sa mga readers. 3. Provide relevant background. A good introduction also needs to contain enough background information to allow the reader to understand the thesis statement and arguments. The amount of background information required will depend on the topic. There should be enough background information so you don't have to spend too much time with it in the body of the thesis, but not so much that becomes uninteresting. 4. Give the reader a general knowledge of what the paper is all about. Let the reader know what the purpose of the study is. Make sure to include the following points. Briefly describe the motivation for your research. Bakit mo gustong gawin ito? Okay, so bilang isang social work student or bilang isang education student, bakit gusto mong gawin ang paper nito? Describe the topic and scope of your research. Ano ang pinaka-topic mo? Ano ang scope niya? Explain the practical relevance of your research. Explain the scientific situation related to your topic. Dito, you can include the most important scientific articles and briefly explain them and how they are related to your research. Give the reader a general knowledge of what the paper is all about. Okay, let's go now to the techniques in writing the research introduction. Pero alam niyo, dear students, na bago tayo makagawa ng ating introduction, dapat ay nakabasa na tayo ng mga related studies and literature natin. Kasi kung wala pa tayong mga nabasa, hindi tayo magkakaroon ng mga ideas on how to form our introduction. So usually sinasabi ko sa mga students is, before they could have any idea, dapat marami na silang nabasang mga related literature and study marami na silang nabasang mga literature and studies about their topic or chosen topic. Okay. There are techniques in writing the research introduction. First is the Deficiencies Model, and the second one is in verbo pyramid. Tulad ng nasabi ko kanina, ang isa sa mga problema ng mga estudyante na sumusulat ng thesis ay kung paano umpisahan ang kanilang manuscript. Kung paano nila isusulat yung kanilang manuscript. Siyempre, ang isa pang nakakatakot nito ay yung kanilang thesis defense or oral defense later. The first technique in writing the research introduction is the Deficiencies Model by J. W. Creswell, 2020. Under this model, meron siyang 5 parts. First is, you state your research problem. Number 2, you maglagay ka ng mga studies that help address the problem. Meron ka bang mga studies na research, no, that could address the problem, the same problem that you have? Pero wag naman tayong maglagay dito ng marami kasi hindi naman siya chapter 2. Siguro mga 2 studies and 2 related literature pwede na, or kung meron kang mga legal basis, ilalagay mo rin siya dyan. Okay? And then number 3, the importance of the study. Ano ba yung ngayon na nagkaroon ka ngayon na napag-aralan mo, ngayon na nakabasa ka na ng mga iba't ibang studies and related literature that are related to your problem, anong nakita mong gap? Okay? Ano yung blind spot? Anong kakulangan? Okay? Ano ang kakulangan? And then, for the purpose of your study, no, ngayon na alam mo na yung kakulangan or yung gap, no? Ngayon na alam mo na yung gap about the topic, ngayon alam mo na yung gap about the topic that you have chosen, you state now the purpose of your study. Bakit mo gustong gawin ito? That leads to your statement of the problem. Okay? So, that is the deficiencies model. I repeat the first part. So, it has 5 parts, the research problem. Next, what are the studies that help address the problem? Next is, what are the gaps or blind spots? And then next is, what is the importance of the study? And the purpose of the study? And the statement of the problem. Next technique is the in-verbo pyramid approach. If you can see, you have your inverted pyramid. Okay? So, ibig sabihin nito, You have to start from general topic and background information about your study. Next, define your major variables, to be followed by current facts, statistics, legal bases, and previous researches. Then after that, you write the reason for conducting your study.